najważniejsze sprawy związane z dalszym rozwojem województwa i kraju.
Hey everyone, welcome to LIVESCIFI.tv, and tonight we're going to be doing a recap. I want to say sorry guys for starting a little bit late, but I had some issues. I could not find my cords from the trip. But we are here, and I'm here tonight joined with Kristen Manning. Kristen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Hello.
Hopefully you guys can hear Kristen. We'll get some shout outs really quickly to the people in the chat. Really quickly here. Dee, Murrow, Elias, Jose, Sarah, Kelly, Paragoster, Candace, Haley, Beverly, Morrow, Mia.
Miss Jerry still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Miss Flava, Just As Beautiful, Jeff Moore, Haley, Tulip, Francisco, Nikki Paranormal. Let's see here. Who else? Nikki Paranormal, Sarah Clark, Kelly Soda, DNS, Alex Rush, Nicole the Coyote, Whitney Bell, Beverly, Alex Rush, Shaggy, Rick Paradise, Some Assembly Required. What's up, you guys? So tonight we're going to be also giving away a Live Sci-Fi t-shirt. We have a couple left, so I thought we'd be giving those away. We have a contest on Twitter right now, so if you guys want to go to our Twitter and just go ahead and retweet what was last retweet that would be awesome. So I have Kristen here on the phone, and tonight we're just gonna be talking about some of our experiences in the Sallie House. Now I got in on Friday and Kristen got in on Friday, and we had a bunch of crazy experiences right off the bat. And this is not going to be so much an evidence show because most of our evidence has yet to be reviewed. I just got back yesterday, so actually early yesterday. So, but yeah, we are still also waiting on for you guys to submit your evidence clips to us via Twitter, and our Twitter handle is @LiveSciFi. So we count on you guys to help us review a lot of this evidence. So retweet, yes, Clancy, retweet. So yeah, we're just gonna go right into it. A lot of people on this trip got sick during the investigation, and it started off on Friday night where we had Kirian, who is our occult specialist for the show, and when we got in, because I arrived in with Louise, Louise and I got in, and right when we got in, Kirian and Kristen went out to go get some stuff over at Walmart, I believe. So I wasn't really sure what was going on. Everyone was kind of acting strange when I got there. So maybe Kristen can kind of tell everybody what kind of happened.
Yeah, well, I got in a few hours before you guys, and then Kirian got in about probably an hour or so before you, and I just kind of took him on a walk through the house, and he was doing fine. I saved the basement for last, so we went down there, and he was really surprised to see all of the etchings and everything in the ground, the concrete there, and we were just discussing things, and he had just walked around the pentagram when we both looked down, and there was this wasp-like bee that was just, it wasn't there, and then it just was. And we both looked at each other like, what? Like, where did that come from? We could not figure out where it came from because it was not there. He just walked there. Yeah. And there's a few pictures there, I think, on Twitter and on Instagram. And so he started feeling really kind of lightheaded and just not great. You could kind of see the color drain from his face a little bit. And he wasn't saying much, and so that's kind of was my clue that he wasn't feeling that well. And so when Tim and Luis got in, I thought, well, maybe I'd just get him out of the house and we'd go run an errand, and maybe that would help. And so we went out, and I don't know, it was like 7-mile drive to Walmart, and he was just getting sicker and sicker. Mm-hmm. And when we got back to the car, I mean, it was like he couldn't hold it anymore. He just hurled in the parking lot, and he was really questioning, like, should I be staying here? What's going on? I've never felt this way before. Like, what's happening to me? And so when we got back to the house, we filled Tim in, and Tim, you were great with him because, I mean, he, like, wasn't even sure he was going to go back in the house because he was feeling so miserable.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you were like, no, isolation is the worst. Come inside and, you know, we saged him, and you put a big salt circle around him, and just kind of helped him talk through it and how he was feeling. He was getting, like, a headache and, of course, the nausea, and his hands were freezing, and he just was kind of, like, perplexed by it because he hadn't experienced something like that before. So,
what did you feel was going on at that time?
He really felt strongly that it was the house, that because it wasn't, you know, like I'm getting a headache or I think I have the flu. He was like, this is abnormal. I don't feel this way ever.
Right.
And so I think just kind of recognizing the power that the environment has was a bit shocking for him.
Yeah.
And,
what were you feeling at the time?
Well, when I got in there, I let the cable guy in, and then he made a hasty exit.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't leave me, okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the house, when I first walked in, the radio in the living room was blaring, which made it sound like there was a lot of people in there before I figured out it was a radio. So that kind of startled me a little bit, but it just felt really, like, heavy and depressed in there, and Kieran said when he came in, he's like, it's like sticky or something. It's like the atmosphere just feels off. And so I was just trying to keep my mind busy with things I needed to do, and I knew he wasn't feeling well, so it wasn't going to help if, like, I started not feeling well, you know?
Right.
So yeah, we just, you know, all kind of grouped together and helped him through it, and kind of help him take his power back, so to speak, you know?
Right. Did you feel that the entity was causing him to be sick?
I think, yeah, I don't know if it was the entity, I don't know if it was just the you know, paranormal feeling in the house, but it definitely, because then the next night when the boys joined us, you know, right off the bat, one of them got really sick, and he had no idea that Kieran had been sick at all, but his experience was like exactly how Kieran experienced it, but much faster. Right.
So I'm going to show the picture of this bug here before we start. But actually, you know what? Why don't you just tell them really quickly kind of what else happened with those guys? And for those that don't know, we had two viewers join us, Joey and I believe it was Brian. Yeah, they were there and they wanted to see kind of what the house was all about and kind of see what we're all about in person.
Yeah.
So it was nice having them there because they really were kind of like, you know, they didn't have anything to gain by being there. They were just kind of outside observers for the most part. And the main reason why, one of the other reasons why I invited them is because we needed 2 other people for the seance that we conducted later that night. And so go ahead, you can go ahead and tell them, I guess, because I wasn't down in the room when he got sick. I was actually upstairs watching the security cams.
Yeah, it was like almost instantaneous. I took him on a walkthrough through the house a couple of hours before we started going live.
Right.
And so we went through the entire house and kind of, you know, showed him everything and talked about, you know, the legends of the house and that kind of thing. And then we went down to the basement, and the one that really got ill, the minute he got down there, he was like, you know, I feel really off. And I said, well, it does kind of have that fun house effect down here because, you know, sometimes when I stare at those stone walls, they feel like they move kind of in and out a little bit. So I was like, you know, just try not to stare in one place. And you know, I just kind of kept giving them the tour, but he was like, whoa, that was really weird. And we were only down there a few minutes. So they went out to dinner and came back. And we decided to get started, and when we went downstairs with him again, I mean, it was like somebody punched him in the stomach, because he got to the bottom of the stairs and immediately, he went towards the back wall, and the mirror, the scrying mirror we had on that wall, like, it just like dropped and broke.
Right.
And that startled everybody, of course. But then he was puking on his way up the stairs. He couldn't even get up the stairs into the bathroom fast enough.
Right.
And as soon as he did that, he stepped outside and he felt better, and he was like, I do not know what's going on, you know. I don't feel this way. I felt fine before, and I went in the basement, and I was immediately overcome with nausea and just had to get out. Like, his whole body was just like, leave. So
Right.
that happened twice for him. And
Yeah, every time, not just twice, but every time he went down into the basement, he repeatedly got sick or felt nauseous, which was horrible.
Yeah, he didn't know. You know, he didn't know that Kieran had experienced that the night
No,
before.
we didn't tell anybody.
So it was interesting to see it affect somebody else in the exact same way.
Right.
So.
So I'm going to show.
Also,
Yeah. Oh,
for
go ahead.
Kieran to see it too, I was thinking, you know, for Kieran to see it happen to the other guy was good too, because then, you know, he saw that it, you know, really is the house. It wasn't him. It wasn't just he didn't feel good or whatever, you know.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show this picture here. What was strange is Kieran said that this bug kind of came out of the pentagram when you guys first got there, and this is like a wasp. And what's really interesting about this this photo is Beelzebub, the demon known as Lord of the Flies. He is believed to be one of the demons that was conjured around this pentagram here. So,
and it was, you know, 32 degrees outside. I mean, we don't have wasps and bees in Kansas at this time of year at all. And so, I mean, it shouldn't have been there. You know, even if it was, you know, without it being winter. But, I mean, it was winter. There's no way. I just don't even know where it came from. It was just there.
Yeah.
And Kieran had literally just, like, walked around that side, turned around, and went, what's that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's pretty freaky.
Yeah, this picture right here is a representation of Beelzebub, everyone. And it was just kind of interesting. I know we have gotten that name numerous times on the Ghost Box and through EVP at the house on past investigations. So that was really trippy.
Yeah,
now
it really was.
I have a hard time kind of remembering, kind of placing when everything happened. I know I got scratched that night, and I think it was after the seance. Yeah, during the first seance we did that night in Sallie's room. I'll just put a little picture up here of Sallie's room here. But I kind of have a hard time. It almost seems like that whole investigation was like a dream. For me, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, it was draining you from the get-go. I mean, it was like, you know, the longer you were in the house, the more I could tell that you were drained.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a very draining investigation to say the least. So we did a seance that first night upstairs in Sallie's room with Kieran, Kristen, Brian, and Joey, and myself, and we had Louise filming it. Now I had the God's actually not the God's helmet, but the Gonsfeld thing apparatus over my face and in my ears, so I really could not hear what was being said. I could not hear what was going on. I could not feel really what was going on around me. I was kind of just in my own little hellhole, so to speak, in that room. And so maybe Kristen, you can kind of tell people what I haven't watched that part yet, but I think it'd be interesting to kind of give people your take as to what was going on at that time.
Well, for me, it was a great experiment because we had a pentagram that I had made out of the stuffed animals, which
yeah.
Yeah.
And why did we do that? Or why did you do that?
Well, I just thought, my first thought was, people always put out the toys for, Sallie or whoever to move.
Mm-hmm.
And they put them in just, regular, like put the ball in the middle, put the toys in a circle or whatever. Excuse me. And I was thinking, well, if we want to get a reaction of some kind, why not put those in a symbol that might cause a reaction? So the first thing that comes to me is pentagrams, since there's one in the basement. And then after speaking with my niece about it, she was saying, that if you face it north, it's really a Wiccan symbol that is a good symbol. It's not like a negative symbol at all. But if you flip it, then it's the opposite. And so then it becomes like chaos and I can't remember all the words she used to describe it. So I went back upstairs and I flipped it so that the main point went south instead of north.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a candle sitting there, and so the idea was that hopefully when asking questions, yes or no questions, I could get the candle to respond, or the spirit to respond through the candle by making the flame stand still or flicker. And it was really trippy once it seemed to kind of get the hang of it, because I would say, make the candle flame stay still, and then because it was flickering back and forth the whole time. We didn't have any air on in the room or anything like that. And we were far enough away that our breath wasn't affecting it. So asking a question and seeing it flicker and then just stop dead into a flame.
Right.
And I wish we had, a better angle on that camera for everybody else, candle for everybody else to see. But it was difficult because it's a small room and we were all piled in there.
Yeah.
But you can, when you watch the video, you can see the reflection of the flicker on us. And so you can see how it's flickering and then how the reflection just stands still. And so then I started asking questions like, can you point the flame to Tim? And it did several times. And I asked the question, were you the one that affected Kieran? And one of the other ones was, are you going to harm anyone in the house today? And if so, point the candle flame to that person, and I pointed it to Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was pretty freaky.
Yeah.
And this whole time you were, in your bubble, and you started humming. And you were getting really drained, like your body was kind of just slowly bending over, and so I made a couple of.
Yeah, I was not feeling good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell that you were like kind of going down, and so I made a couple declarations like, you can use my energy too. And it took a couple of tries, and I asked to talk to a human spirit if there were any in the house. And not too long after that, I have a little bit of missing time where I was staring at the candle, and then kind of the next thing I know, I'm got like snot running down my face and I'm crying.
Right.
And Kieran had taken over for me, which was awesome, and he noticed that I'd changed. And what I was seeing in my mind's eye was really horrific kind of torture of children. There was 5 children that I saw, and in different positions of just really nasty, horrible, profane things. And you at this time, I guess, were kind of humming what Kieran said sounded like a lullaby. And at that point, I was like pulling away from you and crying and saying, please stop singing, please don't sing anymore, the bad man is singing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to tell people, I mean, that was probably for me one of the most visual sessions that I've ever had on the Gonsfeld. I really had, I told Kristen afterwards, it's probably like one of the worst graphic things I've ever seen. And what I saw was basically a child being sawed. It was almost like in slow motion by like a black dark entity, like in half. And it wasn't like length. It wasn't like side to side. It was actually like lengthwise. It was really disgusting. So I don't know. Yeah, it was just really graphic, and I felt like during the whole time, I actually felt that or thought that Kristen or somebody was touching my back. Like I thought Louise was behind my back and touching my neck, and it was
nobody was back there.
Yeah, nobody was back there, and yeah, it just like as when the session stopped, I kind of had lost like my train of thought, like where I was and stuff like that. So it took me a long time to get kind of like back, almost like into like this reality. It's like really fucking strange. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but when I'd settled down, I had some little scratch marks like on my wrist.
Yeah, you had 5 of them.
Yeah,
which is
5
really
little.
kind of freaked me out because 5 was the number of children that I saw.
Yeah, and then like on my neck, then that's when it was like from my neck down to like my shoulders. I had these like 3 scratch marks that were just like gashed into my neck. And what was really strange about that is it's not strange, but the next day I woke up and they were completely gone. They were deep.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, from what I could see in myself, but from the pictures, they looked pretty deep to me.
Yeah, they looked pretty intense.
Yeah. So and I want to invite everyone to you guys, if you guys have any questions, please submit them to @LiveSciFi. If you guys have any questions regarding this or this investigation, feel free to tweet us @LiveSciFi, and the chat goes really quick, so it's really hard for me to see them there. But if you guys have any questions about anything about this investigation, just tweet them @LiveSciFi. So yeah, what was really strange too is we didn't really tell people on Friday night. One of the things I told everybody, I said, hey, going there, I was like, let's try to figure out what was inscribed on the pentagram. So actually, I think when you guys got back from the from Walmart, no, I think it was before that. Before you guys went, I was like, hey, let's try to see if we can pull up, these etchings, because the last time when I went there with Kristen, we were downstairs in the basement, and you can actually see some of the etchings that were done, actually like carved into the concrete. And lots of times the people, I guess, practice these ceremonies, they'll use a knife or a ceremonial sword or something, and they'll actually carve into the concrete various symbols to contact or conjure these an entity. So I was like, hey, I was like, basically carrying Kristen. I was like, hey, let's get some paper and some pastels or charcoal or whatever, and try to pull some of these symbols off of the floor before they disappear. So what we did Friday night is we did that, and here's one of the symbols here that we were able to pull off, but you can kind of see there was a pentagram on the concrete here. You can kind of see the outlines of it, and if you even look really closely at this, you can see the little etchings of little symbols and stuff like that on the concrete. And what's interesting about this is that the pentagram that ran over this piece of concrete here was actually broken by the foundation. And when I was talking to Kieran about that, he said that's like the worst thing that can happen, because it means that the seal, the protection seal around the pentagram that people were using, is broken, and it's basically just a wide open portal for whatever was contacted in the past just to continually come through, almost like a doorway that's open in your house where energies can just come in and out as they please, where there is no door on it anymore. It's just an open passageway. But here's a picture. Here's a picture of one of the pentagrams. You can see actually this is also in the Sallie House, but you can see where the spray paint is still over. So this is actually someone who used a pentagram over the spray paint. So it's not just like there was just one pentagram, but ceremonies were done in this space over and over and over again, and that is not a good sign. So you have like one person trying to contact Beelzebub, you have another person trying to contact Raziel, you have another person trying to contact God knows what else, maybe Baphomet. And what was interesting is we actually started getting Baphomet a lot, like a lot, whether it was on the ghost box or whether it was on the EVP, it was just coming through. And this is a picture of Baphomet here. He's probably like one of the most notorious, I'd say, figureheads of Satanism.
Yeah.
You know, he's just kind of there, and he really is just kind of like a figurehead for it, more or less, just like
He's a pet.
Yeah, pet.
He's Lucifer's pet.
Yeah, but a lot of people think that this is Lucifer himself. I don't know that, but whatever. But yeah, for whatever reason, we started getting this fellow a lot in the basement, and it was just.
Do you remember? Remember when we were trying really hard to bring up images, and we tried carbon paper, and we tried all kinds of stuff, and then finally got the charcoal, and the pastel, and we were able to find like a ring of one section.
Right.
And so you got down there, and we were trying to kind of, it was there, and then it would go away, and so we were trying to establish like what the entire ring was,
right,
beginning to end. And you took the pastel, and we just kind of followed along. And I'm not kidding, like the minute that you completed that circle, there was a good 4 or 5 symbols that just elevated out of that concrete and showed themselves.
And the thing is, I wasn't trying to complete it. I was just literally just trying to trace.
We were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like where did it stop and where did it start?
Yeah.
But once you did that, there was like this section that was previously, you couldn't really see much in, and it just all of a sudden was very clear.
Right.
And that was freaky because it just wasn't there before you completed the circle.
Right.
And so that was like really, really interesting. It was like it just kind of came out of the concrete and was easy to see. And so, excuse me, I've got some drawings because we were trying really hard to copy them off of the floor, but having trouble lifting the image. So I just started sketching them in my book so that then Kieran could go and compare those to all the resources he has and see if we could identify any of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was it was very active, it's the only way I can describe it. It was very, very active, and definitely it seemed to be playing on people's emotions a lot,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a couple of questions from Twitter right here. Actually, well, it's not really a question, but we have Dracula Isabel. Says, I'm an empath, and I watched your show. I got sick, and I saw children. You have to save them. The demons are hurting them. It's kind of sad. Here's a question. It says, while you were asleep that night, did you experience anything weird or dreams or anything? And I was actually just telling Kristen this today. I actually told her the morning that we were leaving. I had the worst dreams ever in that room. They were very personal, and they were to do with my family, one of my family members dying, and it was just very upsetting. And it was not a good dream. So I woke up and I was just like, I'm done.
Freaked out.
Yeah, I was just like, fuck this, I'm just done. So
it's like it knows your worst fear and then presents it to you, you know?
Yeah.
Well, right before I fell asleep that first night, I had like this white mist that came to the side of the bed and just kind of was undulating. I mean, the best way I can describe it is like, you know how the stuff in a lava lamp kind of moves in and out?
Right.
And that's what it looked like, but it was like a white mist, and I'm not sure what that was. It didn't feel threatening, really, but it was just there. So that was interesting. And then I think, didn't Luis have pretty freaky dreams?
Yeah,
or
so...
stuff happened that night, too?
Yeah, so that night, I think it was the first night that we slept there on Friday night, he has never experienced anything like attacking him in his sleep. But
he never had a paranormal experience at all.
No, he'd never even been to a haunted house, so this was something completely new. He's a skeptic, but when he woke up in the morning, he was totally like, what the fuck? He had something that was tormenting him throughout the night, and he said that he at one point got up and tried to get over to the stairs, but it felt like something was holding him down. And he's never had that experience before, so I thought it was kind of
breathing on his neck too.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting. Now what we're gonna do is, I guess we're gonna hop into night 2, and these are almost all these experiences here are you guys can go back and just watch, because we recorded the whole investigation live. So you can go onto our YouTube channel and watch, these things as they happened. It's all real. This is all like pretty much a real ghost story here. And so the second night we were there, first we had Kristen draw. We had her do a live sketch session, which she is a gifted artist and she draws like what she sees. So that night, actually during the day, she drew a sketch, and it was kind of weird. The house was pretty quiet during the day, but then as you started finishing up the sketch, it seemed to get weirder and weirder. And I felt like in the house, it just seemed to be more tension in the house. I don't know, even between us, it just seemed kind of uncomfortable. And
agitated.
Yeah. So maybe you can describe a little bit about what you sketched, and if people want to see the sketch, you can just go onto our Instagram. There's a whole time-lapse video there at LIVESCIFI. You can see the whole thing here. But do you mind telling people what you...
No.
Okay.
Well, first I wanted to sketch just something that I had seen already
Right.
in the house, which was the hellhound, for lack of a better term, that I had seen. And he was in the basement when Karen and I were there Friday night, kind of pacing around. And so I had seen him, and I had seen these, I call them like black asterisks. They look like, if you had a sparkler, but it was black instead of, the sparkler color. And so they would kind of like shoot around the house. And then I had also seen kind of this entity back in the hole. And so I just wanted to start with something that I had seen. But while I was drawing, I was starting to get new images and more images of the children. And the ones that I drew were the least profane ones. But basically what I did was, they were so clear in my head, I couldn't continue with the sketch that I kind of was, doing. And so I just closed my eyes and I put the marker to the paper, and with my eyes closed, I just drew out the children. And then started filling in kind of like the architecture of the hole and everything. And then when I moved over to the entity side, it just felt like something kind of took over me, and I just had to I just had to scrape at the paper, and I mean, I'm surprised. I almost tore it a couple of times because it was like I just felt really aggressive, and like I had to get those images on the paper, and they couldn't just be like a drawing of an image. Like I was just going at it with the charcoal, and I remember you came back downstairs and you were like, "What happened?"
Well, no, because it looked. I mean, I was like, "What?" I mean, I didn't see that in the initial sketch, so I was like, "What?" Yeah, like what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I felt like I was like, like how people auto write. I was auto drawing.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it wasn't something that I had the choice to do. I was compelled to do it. I had to get those images on the paper. So.
Right.
I thought I'd been drawing for like an hour, and you said it was like 3 hours. I had no idea what time had passed or anything. I was just doing it. So.
Yeah, it was a long sketch. So what was the demon-looking thing like in the?
In the picture.
Yeah.
He I don't know if that's is it Baphomet? Is that how you say that?
Right.
I don't know. He's just this very, I mean, obviously creepy, but really strong, powerful, nasty entity that I kept seeing back in that corner, and it like finding something in its lair is what it felt like. And the closer I got to trying to draw him out, the more agitated and angry I got. And like I changed from when I was drawing the children, I was horrified, by the images in my head. But then when I went to the other side of the paper to kind of try to fill out what I'd seen, it was just awful. It just felt like underneath that drawings on that side of the paper is the word hate, and then the symbols, and some of the symbols were ones that Kieran was able to kind of identify and be like, oh, this looks like, this, and so, yeah, he just, I don't know what his name is, but, he was...
Right.
He was there. So.
Well, I'll play this time-lapse video really quickly for you guys, and then we'll play it really quickly just so they can kind of see what it looked like. So this is just a time-lapse video of Kristen doing her sketch here, and you can kind of see what's going on here. But yeah, it was pretty intense, So yeah, she just. I mean, that took about 3 hours there, and it was really interesting to see. What were the so the symbols? Did we identify what any of those markings were?
I think Kieran was able to identify a couple of them. Some of them looked like Norse images.
Right.
Some of them looked like they came from the Solomon images that he was talking about, that he'd also found down on the pentagram.
Right.
And they look like kind of like the handle of a sword.
Right.
And yeah, so he was able to kind of pick some of those out and relate them back to the rest of the story. I mean, it's like a big puzzle piece,
Right. Right.
So it's like, and it's like with everything that you get, that you still have more questions afterwards. It just keeps going.
Yeah, we had also too, it was interesting, we had one of our viewers do another sketch off of your sketch. Yeah. And I'm trying to find it on my Twitter here. I know I retweeted it out because it was, where did I put it? I get so many freaking tweets, I can't find it. Goldie, I know it's there. Maybe, Goldie, can you retweet it right to me? Oh, here it is. Let's see here. Let me, let's see this here. So here's another, this is kind of a sketch off of your sketch.
Uh-huh.
And he said that when he did this, this sketch, he said that he started getting, he started getting angry when he was doing it.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of strange. And I always,
Yeah.
I always ask people like if they, if you know, when we do the shows, if people, I'm trying to get it on the computer right. Give me 1 second, you guys. I was trying to find this earlier, and I just got it. So Goldie, I'm gonna go ahead and show people here your sketch. But yeah, they say that like when people, and I don't know, I mean, you probably know better than me because you're an artist, but when people actually draw art, that they almost become connected to their subject. Is that true?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's why they say that sometimes pictures and paintings are haunted because you know, the artists become so you know,
intertwined with it. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
So I'm just trying to flip this image here. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm trying to figure out how I can.
Yeah, I was definitely really angry and agitated when I was doing the left side of that. I mean, I think if I would have kept going, I probably would have ended up ripping up the whole paper because that's what I felt like doing. I felt like just ripping it off the table and tearing it up. Like that's how it should be finished, you know?
Right. Is that something normal for you?
No, not at all.
Okay, yeah.
Not at all.
I'm trying to get this thing here flipped over, but I can't seem to do it. Let's see here. Give me so Kristen, like what else was in that picture?
Hang on, I lost you for a second.
Okay.
Say that again.
What else was in that picture?
One more time.
What else was in that picture?
The hound was
Yep.
in there in the center, and then the two children, and there were a total of 5, but the other 3 were too profane to draw.
What were they? Can you just tell us what they were?
Well, the worst one was essentially a child being anally raped and torn, like you had seen the Saw, torn like that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I mean it's like sickening
Yeah.
stuff, really twisted.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to show up Goldie's picture here really quickly
Okay.
too, because this is
let's
Goldie.
see.
Yeah, this is Goldie's here. Yeah, Goldie, thanks for doing this picture. He said that he got and you know really angry when drawing this this photo here. So he has the child in there that I think it was like being chained up or something along the wall, and there's that that hellhound on the right there. But
I haven't seen it yet. My thing's lagging a little bit.
yeah, but yeah, this is just kind of another representation here. What we're gonna do, you guys, what we're gonna do really quickly though is we're gonna take just like a 2-minute intermission here. And if you guys haven't, if you guys could,
Nice drawing, Goldie.
yeah, if you guys haven't, if you could please just like and subscribe to our show, that would be awesome. And we're going to be giving away the t-shirt when we get back. So we're going to take just a 5-minute break. I'd have to go just use the restroom really quickly. But yeah, we'll be back and we're going to talk about more about night 2 and at the house and you know some of our ghost stories. So we'll be right back, and we'll be back in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. All right, guys. Bye. All right, you guys. So we're back here. I'll show the picture really quick of. Actually, we won't do that yet. Okay, so we'll go into night 2.
Yes.
And night 2 is kind of interesting because we decided to try to do an exorcism in the house. We just mostly just to try to provoke the entity there. We had did a seance earlier that night, or actually we had Louise go into the hole, and the hole was very interesting. Louise walked in there. He didn't know he was going in there. We just kind of coaxed him in there, and while he was in there, I said, hey, because he's never done an EVP session before, but we gave him an EVP recorder, and I thought it'd be a good idea. I was like, hey, I'll just call him on the phone and I'll ask questions. And when he was down there, I was upstairs at the computer, and Kieran was sitting down with me, and I was, doing, asking questions through the phone.
Yeah.
And, it was during that time that there was almost like a cold type of presence that kind of I felt over me. And I think I asked, I forget what it was, but for it to attack Louise. And instead of attacking Louise, it attacked me.
Yeah.
And I got bit on the hand.
I was standing right next to you, and you, viscerally reacted. It was like, all of a sudden the phone, was hot lava, because you just jumped up and dropped it, and you were like, my hand, and you had this bite mark on your hand.
Right.
That was not there. I mean, I was standing right next to you. It was not there, and then it was there.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like 3.
Crazy.
There was one really strong, pronounced puncture wound, on my hand.
Mark or something.
Yeah, there was 3, almost like a dog bit me. It was really, really strange to say the least. But that was really, really freaky. And I think it was, it's just really kind of violent. And then when he got up, I'm like, hey, let's review the audio to see if we got anything on there. Because when that happened, I swore I heard something, at least on the phone. Yeah. It said something like, you're it, or you're dead, or something like that.
I can't remember what it said, but that's right.
Because it was on speaker upstairs. And so what we did is we listened to the audio, and this audio recording is actually on the live stream. So if you go back and watch that where it happened, there was a real growly growl or something like that. It was just a really weird EVP that came through. It sounded like it came through the phone.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it sounded like.
Yeah, it was just really freaking strange. So,
yeah,
that was, that session. And then we did at Gaunsville too.
We were going to do.
We were
going to do a second one, and we ended up doing Ouija instead.
Yeah, we did a Ouija session. And what was interesting too is we used these spirit dice. And I think it was on the 3rd roll, or the 6th, I think it was the 6th or 3rd roll. The number 6 just came up. And for those that don't know, a while back we did an investigation at the Wells house. And what was interesting is when we were at the Wells house doing the Ouija, I actually got the number 6 carved on my neck.
Yeah.
And since then, I don't know if I'm marked by an entity or what, but the number 6 has been coming over repeatedly, by when we do these sessions. So, it's just kind of freaky to see kind of things that come back when you're doing these sessions, and how, kind of history repeats itself.
Yeah.
So.
And you were, during the Ouija, you were getting scratched.
Yeah. Yeah, I got scratched on the chest.
Yeah.
Here, here's the
stomach area.
Yeah, there's that little scratch mark there, and I just at one point I think I just said fuck it. I think when you were down in the kitchen with me, I think I kicked one of the chairs. I was just so pissed off because I was just getting repeatedly attacked. So But we hung in there and we said, hey, let's just provoke it more. And we decided to try to do an exorcism to try to clean the house. And that was a really trippy experience. That was the first time I've ever tried to do that.
I felt like the whole time, like the minute you started reading the exorcism, I couldn't keep my balance.
Yeah.
Like I kept like knocking into stuff and rocking back and forth. It felt like the whole house was a carnival ride to me. I couldn't.
Yeah, and when I was saying it, it almost felt like I was in the middle of a circle with a bunch of things poking at me. Is the only way I could describe it.
And I mean, there were scratches showing up on you as you spoke.
Yeah, I got some on my leg, which I don't know where that picture is, but I had a really deep like scratch.
Yeah, it's on the film too, because I put holy water on it a couple of times.
Yeah, and
during the Ouija, we got that great EVP that called me a bitch.
yeah, and we were, the thing is like when we were doing this, this thing is like, we weren't trying to cleanse the house more or less. We were just trying to get more stuff to get caught, so we could document it. It wasn't like we were trying to exercise the house. It was just more or less just trying to piss it off so we can get more stuff on camera. So for you guys and for, to document the activity in the house. So we did this, more or less, we tried to provoke it there by saying, this rite of exorcism, and it was just freaky. It was no joke. I know you had smelled sulfur and various things when you were spraying the holy water around the basement there.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty strong stench. And when we were in the basement, like, and you and Kirian were on each side of the pentagram there, and I was behind you, like, I could see the eyes of whatever entity, like, when we first got down there, it was not in the hole, it was outside of the hole, but on the far side of the heating and cooling thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, when you were saying I compel you, like I was throwing water at it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, got my eye on that shit, I was throwing the water on it, and it would back up, and then it would back up, and then it finally went back into the hole.
Right.
And that's when we went around to the hole itself and started kind of finishing the exorcism. And at that time, I got overwhelmed because it started showing me all these horrible images again, and it was kind of like I felt like it was just throwing every image it could at me to make me just back away from the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and so after we did that, I know I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start to clean up a little bit. So we started cleaning up, and we were cleaning up, and I was just, as you guys were cleaning up, I was like, hey, I'm gonna salt the house. So I started salting the windows and the entryways, and everything felt pretty light. And then
Felt neutral.
Yeah, it felt really neutral. I started feeling very homey, and then I was like, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna take it another step further and just sage it, and try to make it feel even more homier. And as I started saging the lower area, it started feeling more and more off. Like the house started getting pissed off.
Yeah.
And so I went upstairs by myself, and I was like, this just does not feel right at all. It didn't feel neutral at all. It seemed like all the negative energy in that house went upstairs.
Yeah.
And that's when I called up Kirian, and Kirian's like, dude, this is fucked up here. So I think we had Louise go up there first with the camera after Kirian and I came back down, and Louise says, like, I just can't be up here. So then we had you and Kirian, and
it was me and Louise.
Louise went out.
And what was so interesting was, I'd been up and down that staircase several times, and the sheets that were on the window that are there to black out any outside light contamination. They had been ripped or had fallen down during the Ouija session. And so they were down, and so natural light from outside was coming in. So if you go up the stairs in the dark, it's dark, and but you could still see some light play here and there from the windows.
Right.
But so when you sent me up there, and I hadn't felt this the entire time I'd been there. I hadn't felt like that racing heart scared feeling. And I got to the staircase and started to go up, and I look up, and it's like, it was jet black like ink. I mean, I couldn't see the doorway to the Sallie room. I couldn't see anything. Yeah. And I'm standing on the staircase going, why can't I see anything? My eyes should be adjusted, and I should be able to see, at least the doorway. But I couldn't, and I had to stand on the steps for a few minutes to just kind of acclimate and calm myself down, and then take a couple more steps. And it just was a completely different feel altogether. And just that darkness, it seemed like it just sucked the light out of the house.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like upstairs, when you go upstairs and it's active, it is completely. It's like jet black, and when it's jet black, you gotta be careful because it's just fucked up.
I mean, it kind of blew my mind how black it was, because I hadn't seen, it's pretty dark in that house when you have everything out, but like I said, there's always some kind of light from some window that'll, come in. This was just like, cut it with a knife, thick black.
Right.
It's a whole different feel. So
yeah, so
with the sage.
Yeah, I was after that I was pretty tired, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna. Anybody that knows me knows that when I get challenged by something, I don't back down.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go upstairs and sleep in Sallie's room, and that I figured would be the ultimate fuck you to whatever's up there, especially knowing that I'm not gonna be pushed around by it. So I went up there and I actually arranged all the freaky looking dolls around me, and I laid out my sleeping bag, and I put the eye obelisk on and tried to sleep. And so it was really hard at first, I have to admit. The first words that spewed out of the eye obelisk were demon. I'm actually looking at the list here of words that came out, and this thing pretty much ran all night until my phone died, I think. But overall, I counted how many times it said demon, and I've never actually had this thing say demon on investigation, but it said demon. Yeah, it said demon 60 times, and rape. I think it was about 20 times, and manifest. Yeah, I kept saying manifest. I think that was like 15 times, and hurt and kill you, and like all this just really nice stuff as you're kind of falling asleep here. And it seemed like as soon as I fell asleep, then it just stopped.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like trying to fuck with me.
It did, because I was sitting at the bottom of the stairs, just in case,
Yeah.
And it was just mouthing off left and right.
Yeah.
And then you fell asleep, and it went completely silent.
Yeah, and I know there's some people in chat and even on Twitter that said that my sleeping bag was moving. I have to go back and watch the footage.
Yeah.
But a lot of people noted that the sleeping bag.
There was 100 feet too. That were something. Yeah.
Yeah, the sleeping bag had moved, and it was not the best sleep that I ever got. And what was interesting too is it kept saying squeeze, and it kept saying camera, and then it also said bed a lot, and it was just weird. It was like almost like a lot of the eye obelisk responses were dead on with like what I was doing in the room. So it was just really creepy, and there's nothing like hearing, rape and manifest and all these violent words when you're trying to go to sleep. I just read some questions off here. I know, let's see here. Allie Cakes, she said she wanted a shout out on Twitter, so we'll give Allie Cakes a shout out.
Hey, Allie Cakes.
Yay. Let's see here. Did anybody, I know like lots of times I tweeted today that that when I do shows that people sometimes experience paranormal phenomena. So if you guys do experience anything, I would love to hear your stories. So if you could email those to me at media@livescifi.tv, that would be great. Let's see here.
Yeah, I had somebody but leave me a message on Instagram. I think the handle was if you can't hang Ben, and they said that they had terrible nightmares Sunday night, and then even almost passed out at school the next day because they were so tired and stressed out from it, and that it was just like they were in the dreams. It was a black cloaked figure similar to the one that I'd drawn, and just felt like it was just right there. And so they were like, so can something actually come from the Sallie House through my computer to my house?
Yeah.
And that's always scary to think that could happen,
Yeah. Jen TT says, do you think anything attached to you or the items you brought to the house? # Sallie House. I don't think so. I mean, I pretty much, when I leave, I think I told some of the guys this, but when I get home, I take salt showers. It sounds kind of funny, but there's kind of a whole cleansing ritual that I do, and I'm sure everyone, I know, like Joey and Brian, when they were out there, I kind of advised them what they should do. But I know everybody has their own things, but I don't think anything attaches to me. I know lots of times through the equipment that I use, I think lots of times it creates kind of when you bring out equipment to an investigation like a Frank's box or some of these other devices that we use, they're almost like phones that stay connected somehow. So I think that those when we do investigate, we use them at other locations, sometimes we pick up communication from the spirits or entities at these locations. Good question though, Jen TT. Let's see here.
Here's one that says, Tim, do you ever have nightmares? I think you covered that pretty well.
Yeah, usually I would say 5 out of the 7 nights a week. Kristen knows this, but I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have issues sleeping.
Yeah.
So definitely not fun, but it's okay. So
I had a pretty horrible nightmare the night after I got home, and it had the children in it, and basically the gist of the whole nightmare was it was giving me instructions on what to do when or if we go back in order to settle the property, but it's stuff that like we would never or could never do.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just like twisted in a whole awful level, and I had a lot of agitation. My son will attest to that. that day too, that it took. It's just not my normal. I don't normally feel agitated, so. I don't know if it's just from kind of the stress of the weekend, more than being paranormal or not, but it's gone now, so.
Yeah, I know we definitely, I don't know, this is, to me, it was like one of the more active investigations I've been on. I know the last time we went there, it didn't seem to be that active as this time.
Yeah.
This time seemed to be a lot more active, and I think it was a very good mix of people. So I want to thank you and Carrie and Louise for coming out. It was a great investigation. I can't wait to go through all the evidence.
Awesome.
Yeah. Amanda Anderson says, "Hey, what's your opinion on the eye obelisk? I have it as well, but not much luck with it. It seems random. Tips, advice." Basically, I would say with any piece of equipment that you use, you have to be open to use it, and you almost have to, like anything, use it a lot and almost become connected to it. I know I have a lot of, one example is I have a lot of digital recorders, but there's only like probably 2 or 3 that I use repeatedly on investigations. I try not to change my equipment up too much, especially when I start getting results. So, yeah, it's like learning almost how to drive a car or something like that. Different types of cars. There's gonna be some things that you like, some things that you don't like. Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis? I've had very bad experiences. That's from Halo of Blood 6. Yes. I have experienced sleep paralysis. And there's an interesting documentary on iTunes called The Nightmare, which is pretty good. And it kind of documents, I think, eight people's experience with sleep paralysis. And basically, in a nutshell, the documentary is about how all these 8 experiences are very similar to other people's experiences throughout the world. So they could be paranormal in nature.
Didn't Luis have sleep paralysis that first night too?
He said he did, but he's never experienced sleep paralysis before.
Oh, yeah.
So that was just kind of really random that he got that at the Sallie House for the first time.
Yeah.
So very, very strange. So what we'll do here is, you guys, should we give away a t-shirt?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Let's see here. I have to figure out where is my tweet here. Let's see here. Let me pick it here.
What is the Mystic Eye? Somebody said, do you still use the Mystic Eye?
Yeah, the Mystic Eye is a old school. It's basically a board that you hold a pendulum on top of, and yeah, you do that. There's also the Mystic Hand, which is a planchette that is used on a Hasco Ouija board. So there's the Mystic Hand and the Mystic Eye. The Mystic Eye was it was a kind of a game that was created in the 60s. And I brought that out to the Sallie House, I think the last time I was there. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. We didn't even use a pendulum this time. I brought the pendulum out there, but we didn't use it at all.
We didn't use it, no.
No. Yeah. So yeah, there's always lots of stuff that we bring out that we just don't use. We kind of just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Don't really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna randomly pick someone here. Let's see here. Alright, so I'm going to randomly just pick someone here. Should we do the t-shirt giveaway, you guys?
I say yes.
You say yes? Alright, let's do it here. Let me just, I'm trying to find the tweet that let's see here. Okay, you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, and I really want to say thank you to all the people that watch the show. I really appreciate all the support. Louise and I and maybe Patrick are going to be going out to the Suicide Forest. And on our Facebook page, I did put up a link for it's kind of a list of places that you guys would like us to travel to. And we're probably going to be going out to do another investigation sometime in January. So
Cool.
I want to know where do you guys want us to go? So if you guys go to our Facebook page, you guys can tell us where you want us to go, and we will go there and investigate that location. Preferably it has to be super haunted. So I don't want to investigate a bar. But yeah, it'd be.
We've investigated several.
Yeah.
However.
Yeah, so it'd be great. And let's see here. I'm just kind of randomly picking someone here. And all right, so the winner is, I don't know. Just gonna randomly pick someone here where it ends up. No one knows. All right, Tyler Mary's Story. Taylor Mary's Story. Yeah, you won. So congratulations. I'm just gonna see if we have any more questions before we'll take one more question. Questions. That made no sense.
Bill Clinton's house. That's funny.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. So what was Luis's final verdict on the house being haunted? Luis says he's no longer a skeptic, but he really believes that there are hauntings, and I believe that this is the most haunted house in America. Out of all the places that I've traveled to, I really believe that this house is the most haunted house in America. What do you think, Kristen?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of dripping with it. So.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, it's the mystery of it. Trying to figure it out keeps you on your toes because it's draining you while you're trying to figure it out and put all the pieces together. And at the same time, you get 20 more questions. And the kind of that powerful way that it can make people physically sick so fast, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the chat room are asking, hey, how do I get a t-shirt? I want to buy a t-shirt. So I'm just going to post up the link on our Twitter handle, and the way it works is anybody that donates $30 or more will get a Live Sci-Fi t-shirt. And all this money is pretty much crowd raising for the show. We use this money to fund our travels to these places, and it's a lot of money goes into not only the equipment for the show, but traveling, eating. Kristen has seen firsthand all the crazy stuff that that goes on with putting these live shows together. But so Live Sci-Fi is pretty much independent. We don't, we're just pretty much just straight. We survive on YouTube ads, but we do need help once in a while. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this up there. If anybody wants to help, it does help out a lot with.
My phone wants to cut you out for some reason.
Oh, don't let it cut out.
Yeah, I think I got you back.
Yeah. Okay. So I just put the link up on Twitter. We appreciate everyone's support, and we're gonna be doing.
It's been best watching and asking questions and just watching the feed and catching stuff is awesome because when you're in the middle of it investigating, you miss some of the things that are going on around you. But with you guys watching and marking it and tweeting out pictures and stuff, it was awesome. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I put the link up on our Twitter. It's at Live Sci-Fi. And if anybody wants to help out, it'd be greatly appreciated. We appreciate all the support. So in about 2 weeks' time, Louise, Patrick, and I are going to be going out to the Suicide Forest. And then after that, we're going to be announcing our next location. And we're going to be doing some crazy things. So the next location is going to be determined by where you guys want us to go. So maybe it'll be like, I kind of want to go someplace in New Orleans.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've never been down to New Orleans, but it'd be kind of cool to investigate some deep South haunts.
Yeah.
So, or possibly the Whaley House in San Diego. Yeah. So, But anyways, you guys, yeah, it'd be so great. I'll give some last second shout outs here to the people in chat. Shout out to Siren Peterson. Shout out to Jeremy. Shout out to Kelsey. Shout out to AJ, Ali. I've never been to the Whaley House. I've never been. I've been to. Have you been to the Queen Mary?
No.
Yeah, no. But maybe Nikki knows some places too. I gotta call Nikki because I know she is on the East Coast. So maybe there's some places on the East Coast that she would recommend, and maybe we can get her out on the show.
I want to go to Penhurst. I know that it's like huge, but
yeah,
that'd be one just to check off the list.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be awesome. So, yeah, shouts to Abs, Lily, Jason, Karen, Kansas Girl, Ryan, Deadbox. Hey, Deadbox. Kieran, we tried to call you. Shout out to James, Yanaves, Lula, the stoner chick. That's a cool name. Heather, Allie. Hey, Allie, what's up? I haven't seen it. Allie, I met Allie about in 2008 when we went out to Rolling Hills. So I didn't forget you about you, Allie, yeah. But shout out to Kelly, Tesla, Scott, Sid, Ryan, yeah, Gray. Yeah, everyone, thank you again for tuning in tonight. And please give the show a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you like it a lot, share it amongst your friends. So anyways, thank you guys, and I will see you guys next week. We'll be doing a live Ouija show. So yeah, should be fun. So yeah, is there anything else?
Hey, somebody said Cowtown in Wichita. Hell yeah.
Cowtown in Wichita.
I can take you there, yeah.
Is it haunted? By cows?
Yeah. Yes, and they're pissed off.
Wow. Wow.
No, it's original buildings from when this was the Old West, and they kind of relocated them all into one section.
Huh.
And so it's kind of like a museum now, but when I was young, we used to do Girl Scout tours there, and I had to work in the mortuary and the dentist's office, and those are both haunted, and also there's a family home there that's like crazy haunted. Like, I remember just standing outside of it and watching the curtains move and shit, and there's nobody in there.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Sounds crazy. All right, you guys. Well, I'm gonna go here. I have to get some sleep and stuff like that. I'm still recovering, but yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon. So yeah, Letchworth Asylum sounds cool too. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and I will see you guys next week. All right, you guys. Good night. Bye.